Hi everyone! Today I want to do a video on how I'm able to travel the world and save money, and it's through teaching English as a foreign language, or TEFL, or ESL. The problem with traveling the world is that it costs money, so you have to find a way to earn money while you're traveling or living abroad. A lot of people think that the ideal way to do this is through having some sort of travel blog. And I've known travel bloggers, and I can tell you it's a lot of work and it takes years and years before it's even profitable. Other people think that you can work online, and I've looked into that a bit, and all I have to say is if that's the route you want to go, good luck. Teaching English allows you to start traveling immediately and earn good money at the same time. If you're a native speaker of English and you're from the United States, the UK, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, then one thing that is quite easy for you to do is go to Korea, China, or Japan and pick up a teaching job immediately with no experience teaching and often no teaching qualifications. In fact, I was teaching English overseas for 5 years before I received any TEFL certification at all. I mention these countries because they're a great gateway into this line of work. It's relatively easy. They'll often pay for your round-trip airfare from your home and back when you're finished. They'll pay you a good salary. They'll pay you a severance pay, which is usually about 1 month's wages if you complete your 1-year contract. Some of them also offer pension programs that you can cash out when you're finished. Not to mention the most important thing, free accommodation. For example, the first job that I took overseas was paying about $2,000 a month, and when I completed the 1-year contract, I was given an additional $4,000 of severance pay and pension. I had a free apartment the entire time that I was living there, and the utilities were extremely cheap. After food, that leaves a lot of disposable income. Now, it's up to each person how much of that you want to save. For me, I found it quite easy to put away $1,000 a month without even trying, without doing a budget, without saying no to anything that I wanted to do. And on that track, it's pretty easy to save $15,000 to $16,000 a year. Some people are a little bit more careful with their money, cook more meals at home, etc., and it's quite easy for them to save about $20,000. Now, on the two extremes, I do know people who have saved up to $150,000 in 5 years teaching in Korea, and I also know people who saved absolutely nothing in 5 years. I think it's more average though that people do save between $12,000 and $20,000. The next benefit of this lifestyle for me is vacation. Again, the first job that I took overseas, I had 8 weeks of vacation. And I will say that is not normal, but that has always been the priority for me, so I'm willing to take a job with less salary or less desirable location in order to have the time off. As a further point of reference, the second job I took was 2 weeks vacation, the third job I took was 8 weeks vacation, the fourth job I took was 14 weeks vacation, and the job I'm currently in is 5 weeks of full vacation with 8 to 9 weeks where I'm only working 5 hours a week. So if traveling is what you want to do, you can definitely make that happen. On that note, even if you take a job with only 2 weeks of holiday, it's quite easy to wait for your 1-year contract to finish and then take a month or 2 off to travel and pick up another contract after that. Compared to a lot of people in my field, I'm not the biggest traveler. That being said, over my 8 years of living abroad, I've been able to visit Japan several times, Cambodia several times, Malaysia, Singapore, Bali and other parts of Indonesia, Australia. I've been to Europe several times, to England, Italy, France. I'm going to Barcelona over Christmas break, and I've been back to the US multiple times as well. Oh, and Thailand, but wasn't a big fan of Thailand. For me, I find the experience of living in a culture to actually be more rewarding than traveling to a culture for a short time. I feel I'm able to understand it more and have experiences that I never would have if I was just traveling. Now, if you're interested to find out what other kind of jobs are offered globally, what requirements they're looking for, what kind of salaries they can offer you, I recommend Dave's ESL Cafe, and I'll link that below. That's the website I've used to find all of my jobs while living abroad. Now, all that being said, this was just my experience, and I cannot guarantee that you will have the same one. There's a lot of good jobs out there, but there's also some bad ones, and it will only take about 5 minutes on a Google search for you to find some real horror stories. That's why research is the most important thing you can do. My #1 tip when you're deciding whether to take a job or not is to try to speak to a foreigner who works there as well, who has decided to stay. They're going to give you the most honest advice, and that is invaluable. I do have a lot more do's and don'ts, but I'm not going to spend any more time on it in this video. If you have any comments or want to know more, feel free to leave them down below. Also, I'd love to know where you've traveled, if you've lived abroad, if you've ever tried teaching English as a foreign language before. In my 8 years teaching abroad, I've taught in Cambodia, Korea, Malaysia, Australia, and Japan. So if you have any questions specific to those areas, I'm happy to help. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about what I do for a living, and thanks for watching.